Hello. Anyone who's read 1984 will remember that one of the prime mindsets that any good citizen of Airstrip 1 had to have was the ability to hold two mutually contradictory ideas in their minds, both at the same time. And if you can make sense of this here, then congratulations, you are a citizen of 1984. Before I give you the test, I shall tell you I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I'm also on Twitter and Gab, where I let you know when I've uploaded a new video. Please like this video. Please share it. Please subscribe. If you're on YouTube, check you are actually still subscribed. You can also donate. All the links to the previous platforms and donation sites are in the description. But just click that like button. That's fine with me. All right, let's just talk about Allison Rose. Now, I got the news this morning that she had, did she jump or was she pushed? Anyway, she's now no longer boss of NatWest. But this article came before that news broke. So it says here, the former NatWest boss says she was wrong to respond to any question raised by the BBC. So that they changed the headline, because when I read it, it didn't, yesterday, it didn't say former, it just said NatWest boss. But obviously they've updated the page. So they added a bit, hours before quitting as chief executive, Dame Allison Rose admitted to a serious error of judgment in speaking to a BBC journalist about Nigel Farage's relationship with private bank Coutts. Dame Allison said she was wrong to respond to any question raised by the BBC about this case, and that she wanted to extend her sincere apologies to Mr. Farage for the personal hurt this has caused. And she did. She wrote him a letter. I'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But what she says here, before she stepped down, was this. I recognise that my conversations with Simon Jack of the BBC, I made a serious error of judgment in discussing Mr. Farage's relationship with the bank. Maybe Simon Jack is especially persuasive. Or maybe there was just too much wine at that dinner. Given the consequences of this, I want to address the questions that have been raised and set out the substance of the conversations that took place. Believing it was public knowledge, I confirmed that Mr. Farage was a Coutts customer and that he'd been offered a NatWest bank account. All right? So that's what she said. She said to Simon Jacks. Alongside this, I repeated what Mr. Farage had already stated, that the bank saw this as a commercial decision. So she said to Simon Jacks, that she confirmed that Farage had an account with them, that he had been offered another account at NatWest rather than Coutts, and that was a commercial decision of Coutts because, well, obviously, that meant not enough funds. She didn't have to actually say that, but that's what she said. She said, and obviously saying that he'd been offered another account, which, by the way, I have to remind you, they offered him a personal account, but not an account for his political activities, for his company, Thorn in the Side, which is basically a political pressure group of various, in some way or another. So she said that I suppose what the impression she's trying to give is that she did say it was a commercial decision, which Simon Jacks then inferred meant that he didn't have enough money. It's all Simon Jacks' fault, isn't it? I would like to emphasise that now this is the important bit. I would like to emphasise that in responding to Mr. Jack's questions, I did not reveal any personal financial information about Mr. Farage. In response to a general question about eligibility criteria required to bank with Coutts and NatWest, I said that guidance on both was publicly available on our website. In doing so, I recognise that I left Mr. Jack with the impression that the decision to close Mr. Farage's account was solely a commercial one. Okay, so I don't know, this woman, how did she become the chairman of a banking group? I mean, she is irredeemably stupid. I wouldn't have... what has she said here? Was solely a commercial one, which means that she is saying, no, I left him with the impression that it was a commercial one, meaning Farage didn't have enough money, but that was the only reason. In other words, she's saying that there are other reasons for closing down his account. Now, what do you think they would be? She's telling Simon Jacks that one of the reasons that they closed the account was Farage's political opinion. She's saying that right here. Because she said it wasn't just a commercial one. There was something else. Well, what else could it be? Had he been caught, I don't know, in a compromising situation with a sheep? The nearest Farage gets to sheep are sheepskin coats, I suspect. Maybe it's the sheepskin coats. Perhaps she's a vegan. Anyway, she says she didn't reveal any personal financial information about Mr. Farage, but she might have given the impression. Now, according to the BBC, Jack's got this information. I'm surprised he didn't run straight out of the restaurant or the hall or wherever they were eating and start phoning to his boss straight away. You know, like one of those joke things where all the reporters dash to the phone booth and the phone booths all fall over because of the pressure of people running into them. No, he didn't do that, but he went back with the impression that Farage was insolvent in some way. Now, apparently, the BBC say not only did they get this story from Simon Jacks, but they rang up the next day to confirm. One of them's lying. Which one do you think it is? You know, I'm actually, much as I find Dame Allison's persona, the bit that I know of her, much as I am revolted by it, I'm more inclined to believe that in this case it's the BBC over-egging the pudding. Now, let's get on to the next article in the Telegraph. NatWest boss quits after Farage's leak admission. Now, do you think this means that a victory has been won? Well, to take another literary analogy, do you know about the Hydra? The Hydra is a mythical monster with multiple heads. Actually, I can't remember how many heads, but let's say it was 10. And when one head was cut off, 2 more grew out of the neck, the stump. And I'm afraid that's what's happening here. Oh, this head may have gone, but oh dear no. Let's just have a look at the letter of apology Allison Rose sent to Nigel Farage. I'm writing to apologise for the deeply inappropriate comments about yourself. I don't know why she says yourself. You would have been enough. Yourself is used by people who think they want to sound posh and don't know quite how to be polite enough. I'm writing to apologise for the deeply inappropriate comments about you I made in the now published papers prepared for the Wealth Committee. Listen to this, and I want you to mark these words. I believe very strongly that freedom of expression and access to banking are fundamental to our society. And it is absolutely not our policy to exit a customer on the basis of legally held political and personal views. Now, in my previous video, I'll put a link in the description, I do point out this is especially creepy. Legally held political and personal views. All political and personal views, however revolting, are legal. What's not legal is acting on them, if they are illegal actions. You can have somebody fantasizing about the most horrible things. You cannot deny somebody a bank account for having weird fantasies, but that's what she's saying here. It's only if somebody acts on those weird fantasies that the law should be in. And even then, that's the law. The bank is not there to judge people. If they have a bank account, however horrible they are, that's their bank account. When you are convicted of horrible crimes, your house is not forfeit to the state. That's your personal property. Your bank account is your personal property. So this idea that if you act illegally, the bank can do something with your account, can take it over. I've mentioned this before with regard to the oligarchs, by the way. So I was worried about this quite a while ago. But that's a discussion for another time. But she has this idea, if you hold political and personal views that are somehow legal, then you should be allowed a bank account. Anyway, let's just go over this again. Absolutely fundamental to our society. Fundamental to our society and absolutely not our policy to exit a customer on the basis of legally held political and personal views. Now I want you to look at this. In the Telegraph, Treasury investigating 3 more banks over concerns accounts were closed for political reasons. That's the Metro Bank, the Yorkshire Building Society and American Express, as well as Coutts. They're very helpful here. They give you their icons, their headers or whatever they're called. Now, let's just take a look down here. Andrew Griffith, the Economic Secretary for the Treasury, is set to call in executives from leading banks, building societies and payment providers, such as PayPal, for a meeting to press home his concerns about the treatment of prominent politicians and other account holders who express political views. And this is what he says. The government strongly supports this fundamental right afforded to all people in British society. So, do you notice the similarity to Allison Rose's? Our banking are fundamental to our society. They're using the same language. Let's just go a bit further down. Here we're talking about Metro Bank regarding accounts linked to the Brexit Party, which changed its name to Reform UK, but it's the same legal entity. The bank told Mr Tice in July 2021 that accounts linked to Reform UK will be closed that September. So Metro did that. And then a Metro Bank spokesman said, "It is not our policy to close or refuse an account due to political or personal beliefs of an organisation." But they just did that. And it's the same sort of wording as Allison Rose put here. "I believe very strongly that freedom of expression and access to banking are fundamental to our society, and it's absolutely not our policy to exit a customer on the basis of legally held political and personal views." Which it's obviously wrong. That's a lie, and Metro's a lie. And it looks like they're all using the same language, and the Treasury as well. The fact is that it's an infection that is going right the way, not only through the banks, but the Treasury itself, when they're talking about legally held opinions, political views, whatever. And of course, Richard Tice had his American Express account closed down. So it's not just in Britain. And this is what I mean about the Hydra. You know, just sacking Allison Rose. It's like, well, I keep talking about this, but we're doing it more and more in our society now. We are burning witches in the hope that it will purify the village. So you get some old toothless old woman who you drown or burn or whatever, and then everyone goes home. They've settled their moral problems. But they haven't. They've just sacrificed a victim to make themselves feel good. So Allison Rose, she didn't deserve to be heading a banking group, for sure. But she's not the only one. It's top to bottom. And how we're going to deal with that? Well, that's a problem, isn't it? Okay, till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the granniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.